primary bronchus. Okay, right at that very first split. And then once we get in here, you see how they split again. If we went deeper, they'd split again. These are the secondary bronchi in here. Okay, so the first V up here is primary. The second V's down here are the secondary. And then they just keep splitting into smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller tubes. Okay? That's really all you need to look at on this thing. Is this a larynx? Oh, okay. Alright, this is actually the larynx of a sheep. Okay. So this right here is the opening to the trachea. This is the epiglottis. This leaf-shaped thing right here, that's epiglottis. So that when the sheep swallows, that folds like that, blocks off that trachea. Okay? So this is the front. So it's going to come forward, it's going to block off the trachea, and it's going to force the food back down the esophagus, which has been taken off here. These right here, this is part of the hyoid bone. Sticking up here. Cool. Cool. Gunky, but cool. Alright, let's see.
You want to send me that?
Your whole mouth is open, so we'll be able to see your epiglottis on your cat. Okay, so let's start with the glands. 3 sets of salivary glands. Right under the ear is the parotid. And you see this duct coming across the face of the masseter muscle? That's the parotid duct, delivering saliva to the back of the mouth. This right here, right under the mandible, is the submandibular. That also delivers saliva to the back of the mouth, and the duct is in here somewhere. Right in here. The duct from the submandibular. Okay, carrying the saliva in, and deep to that, which you can't see very well, is the sublingual, and that's the one that comes out under the tongue. Okay, so it's parotid, submandibular, deep to that is the sublingual, this is the parotid duct. Okay, and coming down here, nice, coming down here, this is clearly the trachea. The trachea is in the front. This right here, this very flexible big tube back here, is the esophagus. Okay? Nice. Nice. We'll get to that. The esophagus comes all the way down, all the way down, all the way down, all the way down, and eventually it has to end at the stomach. To get to the stomach, to get to the stomach, we have to first go through the diaphragm. The diaphragm seals off the chest from the abdomen. Okay, this is the diaphragm. It's a long sheet of muscle. Okay, that esophagus goes through the diaphragm at a specific point. There's one specific place where it goes through. That's called the hiatus. Okay, and in preemies, a lot of times that opening can tear and get larger. That's called a hiatal hernia, and that's when you can have abdominal contents pushing up into the chest cavity. Okay, so if we go on the other side here of the diaphragm, and we tear this out a little bit, tear it. Right here is where the esophagus is coming through, and it's meeting the fundus of the stomach, the first part of the stomach. Okay, so here's the esophagus, this is the top of the stomach. Okay, and if you can feel in here, I can't really feel it too well in this one, there's a sphincter muscle right there where those two meet. Once the food goes into the stomach, that sphincter closes to keep food from flushing back up into the end of the esophagus. Okay? So now we're in the stomach. This is the fundus, again, the top. This is the body. And then this part down here, kind of the bottom of the J, right here, is the pyloric region of the stomach. Okay? If we open up that stomach, those are the rugae. All the folds, the extra folds in here allows it to expand when food comes in. Now, see how it looks like it's a little bit constricted right here? Right at the bottom of the stomach? Right there? That's because there's another sphincter muscle right there. That's the pyloric sphincter. That regulates flow from the stomach to the duodenum, which is the first section of the small intestines. And it's critical that we regulate flow, and we only let it go in there one little drip at a time because it's very acidic. There's 2 types of glands in the stomach, ones that produce mucus and ones that produce primarily hydrochloric acid. And if we didn't have mucus in the stomach, you'd burn holes through the stomach. Okay, but the mucus lines the stomach. It's a big, thick layer of mucus, so that the lining of the stomach isn't affected by the acid. The duodenum does not have a mucus lining, so we have to neutralize that chyme coming through as soon as it hits the duodenum. It has to be neutralized. Okay, the way that's accomplished is thanks to the pancreas. So if we kick all this junk out of the way, this over here, by the way, the beef teriyaki, that's spleen. That's not a digestive organ, but that's spleen. Okay, so we get that out of the way. Pull this over. You can see this tissue right here. It's not, well defined like a liver or a gallbladder or anything, but it's this chunk of tissue right here. Comes all the way over to the duodenum. So it starts on attaches to the spleen, runs under the curve of the stomach over to the duodenum. That's the pancreas. Okay, glandular tissue. And right where, it's really hard to see this, if you can even ever see it, right where the beginning of the duodenum is, there's a duct coming from the pancreas that's going to deliver digestive enzymes in a very alkaline solution. So it's going to immediately neutralize the acid coming in, and it's going to deliver all the digestive enzymes. Okay, so it's a twofer. Right? Also, right at the beginning of that duodenum, let's pull this is our liver, right? This little...
Do you have to know the lobes of the liver?
No.
They're listed in them.
No, you don't need to know the lobes. This shriveled up green pea looking thing in here, that's the gallbladder. The liver produces bile. Bile is a collection of salts that acts as a fat emulsifier. It breaks up the big fat globules into tiny little droplets, which makes them much easier to digest. That bile has to be delivered right to the beginning of the duodenum as well. And in here somewhere, in with all this fascia, see that green line coming down? That's full of bile. That's the bile duct, or the cystic duct. Okay? So cystic duct coming out of there, carrying the bile. You also have ducts coming in over here from the liver itself. Those are hepatic ducts. Those actually all combined into one big tube, one big brownish greenish tube right here. That's the common bile duct. So that's going to carry secretions directly from the liver and the bile coming from the gallbladder. Okay? And it delivers it again right to the beginning of the duodenum so that we can break up that fat. Okay? Sometimes, because bile is a collection of salts, sometimes some of the salt can precipitate out of solution. It's kind of like if you had seawater and you let all the water evaporate, all the salt precipitates out. That can also happen with the bile salts. And it forms these little grayish, they're like little bitty pebbles. And those are gallstones. Those are gallstones. And what happens is they become lodged in the cystic duct or the common bile duct, and the pressure is incredibly painful. And that's when they have to go in and remove the gallbladder. And you can function with the gallbladder. You can still get bile from the liver, but you should